Millions of people have a box of old toys in the garage without realizing one of them could be worth a small fortune. Some have sold for hundreds, others for thousands, and the one at number 1 is in almost every American home. Let's see if you own one. The pedal car. Start with the biggest thing out there because it is the one nobody can move and everybody has stopped seeing. A child's pedal car against the back wall, behind the paint tins, half under a tarpaulin. The paint has gone chalky. There is surface rust along the fenders, and one pedal is missing. It has been there since before the current roof went on, and it looks like scrap metal shaped like a car. But pressed steel is the whole point. Pedal cars from the 20s through the 50s were made from heavy gauge steel by companies like Murray and Garton, built to survive a child hitting a curb at speed. Then the 60s arrived and everything moved to plastic. The steel ones stopped being made, and the ones that lived outdoors rusted through. Restored examples of desirable models sell in the thousands. Original unrestored examples in honest condition sell in the hundreds to low thousands depending on the model. Here is your test tonight, and it is a warning as much as a test. Do not restore it. Do not sand it back and repaint it, and above all, do not have it powder-coated. The original paint, chalky and chipped as it is what a serious buyer wants, and a repaint takes a large part of the value away in an afternoon. Look instead for the maker's name stamped into the underside of the body or pressed into the pedals. The loss I see most often is somebody spending $300 on a respray to make it saleable and cutting the price in half doing it. The bicycle. The next thing against that wall is the one people genuinely do not think of as a toy. A child's bicycle from the 50s or 60s, tires perished flat, chrome pitted, a headlamp on the front that has not worked in 50 years. It has been hanging from a hook in the rafters since somebody outgrew it. Here is what almost nobody checks. Post-war American bicycles were built with heavy frames, chrome tanks, Springer forks, and headlamps, styled deliberately to look like motorcycles. Schwinn is the name most people know. Complete original examples of the desirable models sell in the high hundreds to several $1,000s, and the ones from the 50s with all their original accessories sit at the top of that. And the banana seat bikes from the late 60s, the ones with the high handlebars and the long seat, are a serious market in their own right now, because the men who wanted one at 8 years old are 65 and can finally buy one. Your test tonight. Find the serial number, which is stamped into the frame either under the bottom bracket where the pedals go or on the rear dropout where the wheel sits. That number dates the bike. Then check whether the original accessories survived, because the tank, the light, the rack, and the correct seat can together be worth more than the frame. And here is the same warning. Pitted chrome is honest. Fresh chrome on a 60-year-old bicycle tells a buyer that somebody has been at it, and buyers pay less for that. The metal toy trucks. Now the shelf above the workbench, where the heavy things ended up. Pressed steel trucks, a dump truck, a fire engine, a crane with a working boom. Paint chipped down to bare metal along every edge, a wheel missing, the whole thing weighing more than anything sold as a toy today. Companies like Tonka, Buddy L, Structo, and Smith Miller made these from the 30s through the 60s, and they were built like farm equipment. Most of them sell for $20 to $100 in played-with condition, and I will be straight with you about that. But the early models, the rarer body styles, and anything with its original box climb into the several hundreds and beyond. Your test tonight. Look for the maker's name pressed into the metal, usually on the door or along the bed. Then look at the wheels, because early trucks used solid rubber or wooden wheels, and the change to plastic dates the piece immediately. Then check whether the moving parts still move, because a crane that still winds and a dump bed that still tips are worth considerably more than seized ones. Here is the loss I have watched happen more than once. Somebody puts the old steel truck in the garden for the grandchildren to play with because it seems indestructible. One winter outside, and the paint is gone, and with it, most of the value. The train set in the flood zone. This one hurts because the garage is the worst possible place for it, and that is exactly where it always is. a heavy metal locomotive in a battered box, a loop of track, a transformer with a cloth cord. It has been in the same corner since a grandfather died, usually on the floor, which is the one place in a garage where water goes. Common post-war sets sell for $50 to $200, but pre-war tin plate in the larger gauges and certain rare production variations have changed hands anywhere from several hundred up to around $20,000. And let me be honest, the way a real dealer should. $20,000 is the top of a range, not a promise on every train in every garage. Your test. Look at the gauge first, which is simply the width between the two rails, because wider track generally means older and heavier money. Then find the maker's name on the side of the locomotive and the number stamped underneath. Then, check the box, because with trains, the original box can carry a third of the value on its own. And here is the practical thing I want you to do tonight, before any of the rest. Get it off the floor. Concrete wicks moisture upward all year round, and that is what turns a valuable tin plate locomotive into a rusted one. Put it on a shelf tonight and worry about the value tomorrow. The sled and the wagon. Two things that hang on garage walls in every part of the country, and both are worth more than people think. The wagon first. A small red steel wagon with wooden slat sides, the handle bent, the paint faded to pink where the sun reached it. Radio Flyer and its competitors made these from the 1920s onward. Original examples in honest condition sell in the low hundreds, and early models with the original wooden sides and the correct wheels go higher. Then the sled. Wooden slats, steel runners, a name stenciled across the top board. Flexible Flyer is the name most people know and the one most often found. Ordinary examples are worth $30 to $80. Early ones with clear original stenciling and the unusual sizes bring considerably more. Your test tonight. On both, look for the original stenciled name and read whether it is still legible, because the stencil is the single biggest factor in the price. Then look at the wooden parts for splits at the bolt holes. Then look at the steel for original paint rather than a repaint. And here's the thing people get wrong. These get hung on a wall as decoration, which is fine, and then somebody decides to smarten them up with a coat of paint over the faded stencil. The faded stencil was the money. A crisp, new red sled with the name painted back on is worth almost nothing. Before we get to the top 5, there is something about all of this that most people never stop to see. Look at what actually decided every item so far. Never how good it looked, never how well it survived. It came down to a small set of signals every single time. The maker's name pressed into the metal, the serial number on the frame, whether the original paint was still there, whether anybody kept the box. And there is something particular about a garage that I need to name, because it changes everything. A garage is the worst place in the house for anything valuable. Temperature swings crack plastic and split wood. Concrete floors wick moisture up into whatever is standing on them. Sunlight through the window fades paint on one side only. Every year, something spends in a garage costs it money, which cuts both ways. It means whatever is out there has been quietly losing value, and it also means anything that survived out there is genuinely tough. That is exactly why I put together a guide called the Collector's Playbook, where I walk through the maker's marks, the dating clues, the condition grades, and the physical checks that separate a $15 toy from a $1,500 one. So, you can read a piece yourself before somebody across the table reads it for you. It is linked below if you want it beside you at the garage door. Now, back to the countdown. The die cast at the bottom of the coffee can. And here, the ground shifts, because now we are looking at the smallest things in the biggest space. Every garage has a coffee can or a jar of loose metal. Screws, washers, a spark plug, and at the bottom, 3 or 4 small metal cars that somebody swept off a bench 40 years ago. Early Hot Wheels from 1968 to 1977 rode on wheels with a thin red stripe around the tire, and collectors call them red lines. A common one in played with condition brings $20 to $60. A scarce color on the right casting climbs into the hundreds, and the rarest early pieces run into the thousands. Matchbox models from the 50s in their original small boxes regularly clear $100 each. Your test tonight: tip the can onto a sheet of newspaper and look at every wheel from the side for that red line. Then read the base of each car for the year and the country. Then take them to a lamp, because the early paint was a transparent candy lacquer over polished bare metal, and it has a depth that later enamel never had. Here's what I want you to keep. Nobody empties the coffee can. It gets moved from bench to shelf to bin for 4 decades and never once tipped out. Tip it out tonight. The sporting goods. Now the corner nobody thinks of as toys at all, and that is precisely why it is untouched. Old baseball gloves, wooden bats, tennis rackets with wooden frames still in their presses, ice-day skates, a fishing rod in a canvas bag. Most of it is worth very little, and I will not inflate that. But the exceptions are specific and findable. A wooden bat with a professional player's signature branded into the barrel by the manufacturer rather than signed in ink is a collected object. Early leather gloves, particularly the ones with almost no webbing between the fingers, sell in the hundreds. Wooden tennis rackets are mostly decorative and worth $20, with the exception of a few early makers. Your test tonight. On a bat, look for a name branded into the wood and read whether it is a manufacturer's endorsement model. Then check the barrel for cracks. On a glove, look at the webbing and the maker's stamp in the palm, and check whether the leather is still supple or has gone board hard. And here is the honest part. This category rewards research more than instinct, because 2 bats that look identical can be 40 years apart in age and 100 times apart in price. Photograph the branding and look it up before anything leaves the house. The box of plastic figures. This is the one that costs people the most, because it looks the most like landfill. A cardboard box of small plastic figures. Soldiers, cowboys, farm animals, spacemen. Loose, dusty, some with the paint worn off, most of them broken at the ankles where plastic always fails. Loose figures like this are worth pennies each, and I will not pretend otherwise. But 2 things change the number completely. The first is the playset. These figures were sold in boxed sets with a printed tin building, a plastic base, and a full cast of characters. A complete boxed playset from the 50s or 60s sells in the several hundreds to low thousands. The same figures loose in a box are worth almost nothing. The second is the sealed bag. Some were sold in a bag stapled to a header card, and an unopened bag is a different object from a handful of loose men. Your test, tonight. Go to the bottom of the box and look for anything printed. A folded piece of tin, a section of molded green base, a torn cardboard lid. Any of those means a playset existed, and its parts may be scattered across 2 or 3 boxes in that garage. Here is the loss. Somebody keeps the figures because they are fun and throws away the tin building because it is bent. The building was the set. Water, sun, and concrete. This is the one that costs people the most money of all, and it is not an object. Everything in that garage is being damaged right now, tonight by 3 things. Water comes up through concrete all year round, so anything standing directly on the floor is sitting in a slow rust bath. Temperature swings between summer and winter crack plastic, split wooden slats along the grain, and make paint let go from metal. And sunlight through the one window fades whatever it reaches, but only on one side, which is why so many garage finds have a good side and a ruined side. Your test tonight, and this one you act on rather than assess. Walk the garage and look at what is standing on the concrete. Anything metal, anything cardboard, anything wooden gets lifted onto a shelf or a pallet before you go to bed. Then, look at what is in front of the window and move it. That is a 20-minute job, and it is worth more than most of the tests in this video, because everything else here tells you what something is worth today. This one stops it being worth less next year, and here is the part I want you to keep. People find something valuable in a garage and leave it there for 6 months while they decide what to do. That is another season of damage. Once you know something matters, bring it into the house. The box you have moved 4 times, and this is the one nearly every one of you owns, the one I promised at the very start. Go find it. The taped cardboard box on the top shelf with a name written on the side in marker pen in handwriting you recognize. It has moved house with you twice, possibly 3 times. You have never opened it, and every time you nearly throw it out, you decide to do it next year. Here is the myth I need to take from you tonight, because it costs people money in both directions. Somewhere you have heard that the things people deliberately saved as collectibles are the valuable ones, the boxed figurines, the commemorative plates, the toys kept in the packaging on purpose to fund a college education. And I am going to be honest with you the way a real dealer would. Those are worth almost nothing, and dealers will often not take them at any price because everybody saved them. That was the entire point of them. The thing everybody kept is almost never the thing worth the most, because the whole world already has one, but the reframe I have been walking you toward for 10 items still holds. The value was never in what somebody saved on purpose. It was in what got put away and forgotten. Because that taped box is the opposite of a collection. It is whatever was left when somebody cleared a bedroom in a hurry after a child moved out. Nobody curated it. Nobody chose the good things and left the bad ones. It went in as it was, and then the tape went on, and then 30 years passed with the lid shut. And a shut cardboard box in a garage has been doing one useful thing all that time. It has kept the light off whatever is inside. So here is your final test, and it is the same skill every item tonight has been teaching you. Take the box into the house, put it on a table under good light, and open it properly. Not a quick look. Empty it, one item at a time, all the way to the bottom. Turn every piece over and read what is written there. Look at every wheel for a stripe. Look at every base for a year. Look for anything still in packaging. The box you have carried through 4 houses without opening is the one thing in that garage nobody has ever assessed. And you cannot know what is in it until you cut the tape. Every single item tonight came down to one habit. Turn it over. Read what is actually there. Believe the mark instead of the memory. Do not sell a single box before you open it. Number 1 is in your garage right now. Go look. If this gave you even one thing to go check tonight, tap the like button. It helps this reach somebody about to put a box out for the bin. Subscribe if you want to walk through the whole house this way, one room at a time, and tell me in the comments, what is the oldest thing still out in your garage, and whose was it? I read every single one, and the story of who played with it is half the value.